we've decided to watch Juror number 2, directed by Clint Eastwood. So if you wanted to watch a movie and you're listening to this and you don't want to hear spoilers, then go and watch a movie and then listen to us afterwards. So what do you guys think?
I thought the premise was hilarious. Like when I first realized what was gonna happen, I was like, "Whoa, that's pretty funny," or like cool. But overall, I feel like it was like mid.
Okay. I
hmm
was thinking so too, and I was just like, is it just because I'm like, I just like weird movies and like normal plots are just so like, there's nothing for me to like I don't know. There's like no mystery for me to solve. There's no like additional like background like symbolism I'm trying to find here. There's I don't know, there's no hidden stuff. So I was just like it wasn't a bad movie. I was just like I had no notes to take. Like I it was so I mean, I guess if you are listening to this and you don't care about what, knowing what the plot is, it's about this guy who is chosen for jury duty and he finds out he's on a case of it's like homicide and um this guy's being charged with the murder of his girl. I don't think they were married, right? It was like his
hmm
girlfriend.
Yeah.
Okay. And come to find out as they're describing the case and the details of it and stuff like that, he starts to suspect that he actually was the one who killed this woman because it's pretty much like they found her at the bottom of like kind of like over this bridge and like by like kind of over the edge of something, and it looks like maybe the case they were trying to set up against this guy was that he killed her and then like left her to die out there in the rain at night over on the side of the bridge. But it was this guy, the main character is realizes that, oh, I was out by this bar and I was driving, and he used to be an alcoholic, and um so yeah, basically he was the one who really did actually kill this woman. It was a hit and run, and all the evidence was really stacked against the boyfriend. And then he consults a lawyer, his lawyer, and he's just like, so I have to come forward because I realized that this was me. And they were just like, well, with your history of you being an alcoholic and stuff like that, it's you're gonna be fucked. So like, um yeah, and that's pretty much what it is. And I don't know, I mean, I thought it was okay. It wasn't bad.
Yeah. I definitely think the whole thing would have improved substantially if it like weren't actually clear if he had killed the girl or not.
That's
The
yeah.
whole like he decides right off the bat. He's just like, "Oh yeah, I definitely," cuz like he in the middle of the night he remembers after seeing they're on jury duty, they show the picture of this girl's body on the side of the road and he immediately like has this flashback to hitting something in the road and it's just like, "Oh, I killed her." It's like, but but did you? Like there's a lot of plausible deniability. There's so many things in there that like maybe you didn't. And I think it would have been so much better if throughout the movie we were finding out whether or not he had.
Yeah. I was thinking like I was waiting for the twist. Like I think the ending was what was the most disappointing, and some of the middle. But like I was thinking if it had had a twist ending where it's like this whole time he goes, "Oh my God, I killed her," and then it like turned out somebody else was like a totally different third party or like something else had happened, like that would have been really cool. But it just like kind of
Yeah,
fizzled out. It was like, huh?
Yeah.
I was thinking that too. Like I was waiting for something like that because of how early they were like they revealed it, and he had that flashback, and he's like, "Oh my god!" And he starts sweating. He starts like, "Oh my god, was that really me?" And he starts checking his calendar, like, "Where was I?" I remember being at that bar, and it was like he at that point he already was in recovery from
hmm
alcoholism, but it was like he had this flashback, and I was just like, because they kept revisiting it in different flashbacks from different people's points of view, so I was like hoping that there was going to be like something else that someone like I don't know, someone else comes forward. And they had like um they had another person on the jury who turned out to be a cop, and he was like
J.K.
trying
Simmons.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then he was like thrown out of the like movie so quickly. Like he
hmm
yeah.
was in the movie and then they were like, "Oh, he's not a character anymore." And I was like, "Wait,
Yeah.
that could have been
Yeah.
good."
Yeah, it played out like as you expected it to. Like
hmm
I don't, maybe I'm just That was the part of me I was like, am I just used to like these twists or something towards the end? Like it can't just be a movie telling a story anymore for me. I don't know if I just ruined movies for myself and like
I
I don't
think
know.
it's just a boring movie. I mean, a movie should have
Yeah.
a twist. If it's just about a guy who maybe killed someone, it's like it's not shouldn't be written as a movie. I don't know. I don't know where they went. Part of me thinks they like yeah, it just felt like it was so close to like a genuinely decent movie and I like they just kind of dropped the ball. Like I don't even remember like the ending was so confusing and it was so like
Well,
yeah.
Well, because the ending, they kind of turned. I felt like they changed the characterization right at the end, because the
Mhm.
whole time is like Nicholas Holt's character. He's this like actually really good dude, this upstanding guy. He's trying to do the right thing, and like even in the beginning, he goes to the lawyer. Like he doesn't have to do that. He goes to the lawyer with the intention of being like, what happens if I confess? Will this kind of like resolve itself?
Mhm.
And it feels like the whole movie he's like kind of trying to do the right thing, like trying to get the guy acquitted but not bring blame onto himself so that he doesn't leave his wife single raising a child. Like all of these things he's constantly doing the right, quote unquote, right thing. And then it ends with him just being like, all right, well, guess the guy's guilty and going to prison forever, and I just get to live my happy life. And then he's like upset that this lawyer is going to come after him. It's like,
True.
well,
And
but
then
It's
like,
weird.
what the fuck?
and it doesn't even resolve like they leave it on like a kind of a cliffhangery thing where she shows up at his door, right? Which is I guess is
Yeah.
supposed to be like, oh, she's not gonna let you let this go. Like she knows you're guilty and she's gonna do something about it. But it also doesn't make sense because it's like she had a change of heart because she was being kind of a bitch the whole movie. And
Hmm.
so they like flipped it, which makes sense like if she was having like a redemption arc, but like yeah, he was like a good guy and then just for almost no reason is like, no, I'm actually gonna just be selfish.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't even end with like I guess I wanted even if that was the ending, I wanted a satisfying like he goes to jail, like something dramatic.
Like
Yeah.
a definitive like this is the way that it went rather than because the ending was just her just showing up at his door and then they roll credits and I was like, okay, well. So you're just implying now that he got in trouble, right? So like it's like
Yeah.
if we went that way, show us him in the jumpsuit and then roll the credits or something, you know?
Well, even like they had the opportunity for the throwback, which is what I literally thought they were going to do, where there was a scene earlier in the movie where he's like, I don't think baby has been born yet, but he's like standing by the window and some police cars go by and he's
Oh
like
yeah.
clearly paranoid. So I was waiting for exactly that moment to be like, he's not worried about the police cars now, but they're actually here for him this time.
Hmm.
And nope, just the lawyer lady shows up. What's she gonna do?
Yeah,
Hmm.
there was like no tension. They could have had so much tension like that at the end where it's like he's living his normal life, but like he's waiting every day, to see if he's gonna get caught. And there was just they just like skipped to it to nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
when some of the jurors like were expressing their frustration with him and how they're like, well, what are we doing here, like what, I don't get what your point is, like he just keeps flip-flopping. And at one point I felt like I was just siding with them. I was like, yeah, where are we going with this? Like you're guilty, you're not guilty, what do you want him to be guilty, where what do you want to happen? And it just
Yeah.
felt like I was one of those jurors there too. I was just like in the room like, come on, man, I'm I'm also here and I don't get what you're trying to do. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the all of the scenes with them in that room deliberating too were the most obviously it was the biggest focus, but also like the biggest disappointment for me because one, I feel like most of the jurors were horrible actors.
Yeah.
They were
And written
so
badly.
over the top. They were written, their lines were bad.
Yeah.
They were so dramatic in ways that were just like, no one talks like this. What are you doing? Like
That
this
person
guy's like
doesn't exist.
yeah, he's like staring out the window, brooding, and he's like, "I'll never change my mind." It's like, what the fuck do you care? What do you care about this random dude? Like, what are you talking about? Uh, he's got this tattoo that tells me that he's a drug lord. It's like he's just some dude. Like, what is your damage? Calm down. And then also the evidence for the actual crime, garbage, garbage
Hmm.
evidence. The only evidence was literally that a couple people saw them fight, and that was it. There was no other evidence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the one that made me the most mad was them saying they had that eyewitness when it was that guy
Mhm.
that lived across the street and was like, "Yeah, I saw him, that guy, at
Yeah.
night in the rain, and there's all this fucking these trees and branches and bushes," and it was like it was totally that guy. And then,
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Oh, so bad. So the fact that like 11 of the 12 jurors were just like, yeah, he's definitely guilty. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? This case shouldn't have made it to court. This is a terrible case.
Yeah, and I feel like is 12 jurors like the normal number on a jury? Is that like the required number?
I think so.
Because I feel like
I think so, yeah.
they like did not they weren't capable of writing that many characters. Because
Yeah.
there was one guy who had like maybe 2 scenes and he had like no character whatsoever. He had like 2 lines, and I was like, I kept
Yep.
forgetting about him, and I was like, oh yeah, that guy's here. And yeah, all
Yeah.
of them were like so dramatic. Like I wrote like they were like very 2D. Like it was like this is young woman juror and this is old lady juror, and it's like
Yeah.
they were not realistic characters.
Yeah.
And so for most of the movie to be like taking place in that jury room, it's like you gotta have good characters in there.
Yeah. This is entirely a movie about people talking.
Yeah.
You've got to have people who can deliver lines and also not
Mhm.
garbage lines.
Yeah. There was also a really funny part that I wrote down near the end where I don't understand how the what's her name? The prosecutor lady, she doesn't realize till the end that the lady that she talked to, her husband was the guy on the jury.
Yeah.
Like she has to Google it, and she literally Googles. I wrote it down because
Yeah.
she
Oh
Googles
yeah.
Allison Cruson husband, and it just
Yeah.
shows up. And I'm like, you're telling me I can Google any non-famous human being's name and put husband, and it'll just be there? Like, who
Yeah.
wrote that scene? You could have gone to Facebook. Like, you could have done anything else.
It just popped up with pictures of the two of them. I thought that was funny too.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Like
Also, she's
I
a lawyer and has access to all of their information. Like, he was on jury duty. They have his case file. They could
Yeah.
just look at the file.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I I don't know. I noticed that they didn't have like the same last name, but like still they would have
Mm.
had more of that information, and she could have just gone to something like Facebook too. But I was like, yeah, I know you can fucking Google like a McDonald's or something like that and it'll pop up with McDonald's in your area, but that would not work. Like
No.
I would not be able to type in anyone's name, put spouse next to it, and then I'll be like, "Oh, that's the person they're married to." No fucking way.
Well,
Mm-mm.
like it was his car, wasn't it? Like, shouldn't she have his name just by the fact that it should have been registered to him?
I think it was registered to the wife and he was just driving it.
Oh, okay. I guess that makes more sense then.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the characters in the movie too were just like terrible at putting two and two together. Because I also, my other note was that when the wife confronts him after the prosecutor goes to the house to talk to them about the car, she confronts him about driving
Hmm.
by the bar. And she's all upset that he might have had a drink and like relapsed.
Hmm.
So then she gets that admission from him, like he admits that he drove down that road. She knows that he's literally a juror for the case for the girl who died on that road on that day. And she's only upset that he might have driven drunk and then just lets it go completely. Like she completely forgets about why the the lady was there. Like doesn't think about it for half a second that like he hit something on that road on that day and just
Yeah.
just moves on with her life.
I was like, damn, this couple are these are some shitty people.
Yeah.
I feel like if I found that kind of thing out about Tony, and then like I'd be like, I don't care how long our history is. You gotta tell me right now. You kill this lady? Do you think you killed this lady? I'm not just gonna fucking let it go.
I was gonna say he also like wouldn't stop saying shit that he just like didn't have to say. Like to his wife when like he tells her like, "Oh, I'm actually one of the people that voted like not guilty and I'm extending like I'm making this take longer." It's like you could have just lied. Like you didn't you almost volunteered that information. Like why would you not just be like, "Yeah, sorry, honey, I don't know it's taking so long." And he like did the same thing with the jury about the paperwork with the cars. Like he could have just been like, no, I didn't see what that police had. Yeah, I don't know what that is. And then he starts offering up information. And it's like, you're not even good at like lying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked when he dropped the papers. He was like, oh,
Well, he goes, "Oh shit." And then he drops the papers. Like everyone looks at him because he says something and then he just sort of goes, "Whoops."
It's like so stupid.
Also, J.K. Simmons is just standing there like, "What the fuck, dude?" Like,
Right. Yeah.
I think I
ugh.
literally like complained out loud with when J.K. Simmons was like taken away. I was like, because I was like, he was the one that was gonna save this movie for me, because
Yeah.
he's a good actor, and even if it's like
Mhm.
mid dialogue, he's just fun to watch. But then they just like cut him out almost immediately. It felt like there could have been so much tension with a police officer
Mhm.
like investigating it. Oh, I don't know.
You know what we would just be reinventing though? Death
Hmm.
Note.
Yeah, but I
Mhm.
mean, I'd take it. I'll take like copy of Death Note.
Have you guys
Yeah,
ever been summoned for jury duty?
No.
once. It was actually for a murder trial too. Um, I didn't get picked though.
Damn.
I actually knew the guy, sort of vaguely.
Oh.
So I got out of it in the first round.
Damn.
It was like crazy because they summon like 100 people or so because they have to go through and ask a bunch of questions. And I was like the fourth person in line. Like I got up there, they asked about two questions, and me and four other people on the jury or on like the bench knew him, and we all got kicked out. I was like, all right, well, apparently this dude knows everyone in our town because way too many people here know who he is.
Wow.
So that didn't last long.
I was summoned once a while ago, a few years ago now, and that was also for a murder trial. But I got out of it by saying I couldn't afford the $40 a day stipend that they gave out
Mm.
because they were expecting it to be like 3 months, and I was like,
Ooh.
I am not going to be able to do this for 3 months on $40 a day. And they were like, okay, so you're setting a financial situation. I was like, absolutely. I'm not going to be
Hmm.
able to do that. I was like, if it was, I don't know, if it was 2 weeks, maybe, but like, I still wouldn't like it, but 2 weeks would be way more manageable than 3 fucking months. So,
Yeah.
no, I cannot.
That's crazy. Do they like they expect you to spend 3 months like there every day? How's that work?
I don't know. That was at least like their expectation of how long them just doing all their arguments, going over the evidence and all the court stuff would be. And I was like, holy shit. I didn't think it would be that much. So I guess both sides really had a lot of stuff that they were planning on going over.
Mm.
Um I don't know if they're giving a lot of leeway too. Maybe it was really only going to take maybe a month and a half or something. They were just doubling it, or I don't know, but they were saying 3 months, and I was like, no, get me out of here. I'm not doing this.
Wow.
Yeah, I really hope I don't ever. I mean, I know that it's like what is 6 years or something they go through everyone that they can summon or something like that. I don't know. I just hope I never do that again because even the waiting period up to like trying to get up to the judge and tell them why I can't be there, it was so long. It was like an all day thing.
Hmm.
And then there was like this super long line of people to get like something signed to show your employer like, hey, can you just I was out of work today because of jury duty. It was a whole process. I mean, once we got in there, because I I was asking, it was like my first time. I was asking people around, like, oh, how many times have you done this? Did you actually ever serve on the jury before? And a bunch of people were like, ah, yeah, these are really boring for the most part. I've never been in anything pretty interesting. And then we got in there, and it was the judge was like describing the case, and I was like, oh shit, this sounds serious. And the guy, like the defendant was right there, and we are like, oh shit, that guy might have killed someone. And but yeah, I was just like, no. Once I heard 3 months, because I was like legitimately kind of interested, but I was hoping it would have just been like, if anything, a month at most. But that would have been really, really pushing it.
Yeah, they can just go on forever. Because I always feel like their estimates are wrong too. They definitely usually go longer.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like it's one of those things that people also like. You either never get called for jury duty or like the same five people get called constantly. Like there's always, we've got like I think a cousin who's been called like for 4 different cases and she's like 25. That's crazy. But I've got
Yeah.
the one summons and that's it.
I feel like it would be so fun, but I didn't think about that fact of like work. Like I definitely wouldn't,
Mm.
yeah, be able to like who can take off that much time from work? That's crazy. Like how is that the system?
I mean, maybe they're hoping they're getting people who don't have to work or at the time. I don't know, but I definitely not now. I don't everyone I don't think anyone can afford that. So,
Yeah.
um but yeah, I remember my mom used to get like jury summons all the time, and I remember when I was younger, she'd like try to come up with some like abstract way she'd have to like say that she couldn't serve on the jury if it was like anything that was remotely close to the case. So if it was like a domestic violence case, she'd be like, oh my, I knew I had a friend or something that was in a relationship and I would be way too biased towards the
Oh,
victim.
that's
So my
good.
mom would, yeah, like my mom would fucking try to figure out any type of way to get out of it because she would be like, I don't want to be there. Like, I don't want to waste my time. She's like, I get it. That's the justice system. I have to, whatever. But like, I got shit to do. So I'm going to figure out some way to get out of it if I can.
I like imagining like on your record is all of the reasons that you get out of jury duty, and she just had like a long list of all of the people that she knew that had the same
Yeah.
problem.
Even if they did that, I feel like they probably wouldn't have actually have like kept a clean record of that. I feel like all of that's just so like not disorganized and stuff. That'd be funny though if they actually did have that and they just have that list.
At some point, you just give up. Like
Yeah, stop
this
summoning
person's
her.
this person's not gonna do it.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's ever a problem with like smaller towns and stuff.
I'm
Uh,
sure.
if like
You know the
you ha-
person. You have
yeah,
to.
like how long does it take to find a jury where like it's not going to impact the way that they
Oh, I
rule
wonder
or
if they
something?
move it. Like I wonder if they move it to a different city or county or something like that and they hold it somewhere else and then they pick jury
Mm,
from somewhere else.
that'd be smart.
I feel like it's crazy how like slow and outdated the legal system is. Like I got it was like a speeding ticket or a parking ticket or something like that, and I had to like actually go to the court for some reason. But I remember like the way the court date was they were like, okay, this is your court date. It's on the ticket we gave you, but
Hmm.
you should like. I don't remember if they said they would call me or if I had to just. I think they said I had to keep calling to check that it hadn't changed, or I think you could
Yeah.
go online, but the website they had to like check if your court date had changed was so old looking, and you can like look up anybody's tickets. Like you can just go on there, and it might just be this county, but I don't know if it's like other ones too. You can just go in there and like type in people's like last names. It'll say if they have a ticket because there's no like login, there's no like secure thing. It's wild, and it's just so old looking. Like it's like it looks like it's from 2005.
Yeah, I mean, I think because I think technically, even though those are like lower courts and nobody has any interest in it, like that kind of stuff is technically open to the public. So like you could just go and watch people like argue their traffic tickets all day if you wanted to.
Like the court is like you could go to a courtroom.
I think so.
Wow.
I mean, the one
Yeah.
that I got, I've only gotten one speeding ticket ever. Uh, it was super annoying, and I didn't really know what to do because I'd never been pulled over before. And it was this tiny little room. Like it was technically out of the city limits, and so it was in this like little town outside of
Hmm.
town. It was basically like just a big waiting room, and you'd go and you'd sit in a random folding chair and you waited till the judge called you up, and he was just sitting in front of everybody. So like you'd go up, talk to him, and then you leave, and everyone just kind of sat there and watched as everyone else in front of you went. But it was the same thing. I think I had to call maybe to make sure that it hadn't been moved. I don't even think they had a website.
That's just crazy. Yeah, and I had a similar thing where I had to go to once for a traffic. It was like traffic court. And it was like, yeah, it was like a 2 to 3 hour time slot and everyone just queued up. And I'm like, 2 to 3 like my thing took about 10 minutes maybe. But I was
Yeah.
there for like 2 hours, and yeah, you just watched everyone, and some people had way worse. Some people had way worse things. Like they might go to jail for them. Like some guy was like driving without a license for like the third time. I was like, ooh.
What are they gonna do? Take his license away?
I think they're putting him in jail.
Ah, beans.
But then one guy got pulled over from the same cop I got pulled over for, and he was going like 5 to 10 over, or that's what they booked him for. And it was like this old man. I was like, our cop was like way too trigger happy. Like, no, we shouldn't have been there. Like, he was just
Yeah.
pulling over anyone. I was like, this is rude.
5 to 10 over. If it's
But he
on,
was
if I'm on,
speeding.
yeah, if I'm on the highway, I'm going 10 over normally. Like
Mhm.
that's 65. I'm going 75. 75. I'm going 85. Like that's normal.
Yeah.
5 to 10.
Yeah.
Five is nothing too. Like
People go 5 over in
what?
neighborhoods. Like that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wow.
That's silly.
Yeah.
I've heard like cops will book you for less than what you did, so that's why I wonder if that's what it was. But I don't know why they would do
Hmm.
that, you know what I mean? But like I remember my friend got pulled over once and she was going like 20 over and he was like, "I'll write it for 10." Because I think it's like
Huh.
I don't know, he was just being nice or something, but that's
Hmm.
why I wondered because I was like, yeah, there's no way you would get pulled over for 10 or
Yeah.
like 5. Yeah.
No, my cop was just a jerk. There's a place, and Melody, I know you would know it. It's on a big highway going through town, and you're in the outskirts of town. It's 65, and you're driving, and you get into the same limits, and it drops down to 55,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you're good for a little bit, but then there's like immediately like 3 speed traps, and you know where they are. Like it's not a surprise if you're from the area, but I got stuck behind somebody
Hmm.
who was going faster. I wasn't stuck behind them. They were going faster than me, and I was behind them. And I wasn't really thinking about it. I think I was on cruise control, and I was like slowing down, but I think I had just like I was taking my foot off the pedal. I wasn't actively braking.
Hmm.
The guy in front of me saw the cop, slammed on his brakes. So then I was coming up behind him, and rather than slam on my brakes and get the guy behind me to hit me, I merged over, and then the cop flagged me because I hadn't slowed down to whatever the other guy had.
That's so
Uh,
stupid.
it was so dumb. And so he pulled me over, and then I went into my appointment, and the judge was like, "Did you get pulled over right here?" And I was like, "Yes." He's like, "That sucks. I'll bump it." I don't remember what he bumped it down to, but it was just like one of the unimportant. Like didn't fully stop at a stop sign or something. Whatever it was less. He's like, "This is silly. Don't do it again." And I was like, "I won't. I guess."
You're like, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. That being pulled over right there I mean, yeah, it's ridiculous because that's literally what people do. That's like where people are starting to slow down anyways. Like
Hmm.
you get all types of people doing doing whatever. And then they're clearly like right on the partition too. So
Yeah.
I mean, like you can see them from miles. So I think right before that there's like a little curve and like I think a
Hmm.
ramp that goes right onto the highway. But you see those guys and like I don't know. I mean, it's pretty common from being around here because it's like where people get on and off the highway anyways. So it's like there's that change, that speed change. So I feel like you would generally pull people over that are going like ridiculous speeds over there.
Yeah. Well, they gotten me too, not because of the guys in city limits, but they had posted one where the speed change happened, and no one slows down right where the sign changes because you still have like a mile to before you're actually in the city. You're like
Hmm.
kind of still out there a ways, and so people start to slow down but don't actually get down to the speed limit until you're well within the city. And but they had posted a cop back by the speed change, so he didn't pull out when I passed him. I didn't think anything about it because everybody else around me was going the same speed, but he must have like clocked me or the guy ahead of me or something like that and let the guy ahead know. I was annoyed, but oh well.
I would be too.
It's so weird though that like wait, so did you have to go to the court that time? Or were you doing it
Yeah.
to you had to go?
Hmm. Well, so it's the difference of if you plead guilty or not, because I could have filled the form out and just said I was guilty, but then I would have had to pay a higher rate.
Mm.
But because I went in and talked to the judge, they bumped it down, and then I had to pay like $60 instead of like 250 or something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess mine that he told me I couldn't go in because it wasn't actually a speeding ticket. It was that I didn't. My license plate was actually Michigan plate, and that's probably actually it. I have it hanging on my wall behind me, and it was out of date. It was out of date by like 3 years, and it was Michigan. And then my license was Virginia, I think, or maybe it was flip flopped.
Mhm.
But either way, I didn't do something right, and so. But it was like I just thought it was stupid because he told me exactly what I needed to do. Like I didn't realize what I had messed up, and the cop was like, "Oh, you didn't do this. Like you have to do this." But like I had to go in to the court to like settle it, or and all I had to do was pay the fine in the end. But I just thought
Yeah.
that is so inefficient and stupid. Like you should have just like because you could validate that I got my shit done. Like you could be like, oh, by this date, like make sure she's registered with here, and but the system's so slow.
I mean, so much of it is meant to be inconvenient too, because like a lot of the tickets happen to out of staters. We have that issue every once in a while. We drive really so Ben has a car through his job, which
Mm,
is a different state. Their like headquarters is in a different state. So his license plates are for a different state than New York.
mm,
And so we drive extra careful with his car because cops are more likely to pull him over because they think that he will be more inconvenienced by a court date because you have to go to the town that you got your ticket in. So if he got a ticket here, they're like, "Oh, this guy's from out of state. He won't come and pay the ticket. He'll just plead guilty and pay the higher rate."
mm.
So a lot of
That's
times it's actually
crazy.
like it's a deliberate dick move to like make people pay more money.
Yeah. I didn't I didn't know also I'm just kind of thinking about like when you know cops, they can really depending on who they are, they can like try to just not what you were saying, Riley, like your friend, that cop was trying to be nice or whatever by giving her a lesser ticket or something like that.
Hmm.
Um, I know a cop who actually pulled over my brother once for doing like a rolling stop at a
Mm.
stop sign.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out later that he didn't end up giving my brother a ticket for that because it's like I mean, I think it's stupid. I mean, I feel like if it results in an accident, then yeah, but like I I don't really come to a full stop at a lot of stop signs, I gotta say. Um, and so I feel like that's pretty common. But I guess when he pulled my brother over and he asked for his license and registration, my brother gave him the license. He saw the last name and was just like, "Oh, okay, never mind. You're good to go." And my brother didn't think anything of it. It was like years, and then I found out years later after it happened, and that they were like, "Yeah, I think I pulled over your brother one time." And I was like, "What?" and and so I found out what happened, and then I asked my brother, I was like, "Did you ever get pulled over for in this town for like a rolling stop?" And he was like, "Yeah, how do you know?" And I was like, "I knew the cop who pulled you over." And he was like, "Yeah, give me a ticket." And he said, "Yeah, because he said he knew me and he saw your last name." And was like, this person must be related to Melody, and also because we probably look alike." So he was just like, I guess he put two and two together and was like, this must be a relative of hers. So I'll just let it slide. But also, I feel like he should let it slide anyways, because I feel like who fucking actually stops? Who fucking actually stops? A
Yeah.
complete stop at every stop sign. Just if you know people, it's so dumb. I mean, I feel like that shouldn't be the thing, but I guess I'm thankful that he didn't give my brother a stupid ticket, but also at the same time, like, feel like that shouldn't be a way you can get out of a ticket also.
Yeah. Traffic stops in general, I think, are pretty stupid.
Yeah, I remember my dad complaining for like half my life that like he got a ticket in our small town and he'd go to like I don't know how it was so local, but like the local sheriff, whatever, and he said the old sheriff would just be like, don't worry about it, and like if he showed up, the like sheriff would let him off, but then we like got a new sheriff in town at one point, and he did try to do the same thing, and the guy was like, no, you have to pay that. And he was like, this guy's a dick. It's like, I don't know, Dad, you got the speeding ticket, but I just remember him being like, I hate this new sheriff. I was like, okay.
How many speeding tickets did your dad get though? That this was like a big problem for him.
I think he gets a lot. Like throughout my life, I feel like he always gets a lot. But my mom always Like she says she gets stopped sometimes too, but she said like more than once she'd get stopped and the cop would be like, "Well, you haven't had a speeding ticket in a really long time, so I'm gonna let you
Yeah.
off." But it's like she keeps getting stopped, she's just not getting the ticket.
Yeah.
But I do think there's some like I don't know energy. My mom's got nice lady energy. My dad probably
Nice.
doesn't.
Yeah, I remember telling people after I got pulled over because I was like 20,
Hmm.
maybe like 21, something like that. It was actually while we were working together, Melody. I was coming
Yeah.
in that morning and I was like shaken. I was so like afraid that I'd done something wrong. And I remember telling people about it afterwards. And they're like, he didn't just like let you go. Like I had nothing on my record. I was young, like, and this dude just like apparently everyone else was like, he must have been such a dick. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I was technically speeding on the highway. Like, I don't, I guess.
Yeah, the only time I've been let go, I think I've never got a speeding one. One time I got pulled over. I don't think I should have been pulled over, but they let me go. I was taking a right onto like this dirt road that was like going back to my house. And it's a right-hand turn lane thing, like where you go into it.
Mhm.
And but I didn't put a blinker on, I guess. And then also my license plate was covered with snow. And those were the two things that the guy cited. So I turned off the road. He pulls me over and he's like, "Yeah, well, you didn't use your blinker, and I saw your license plate was covered with snow there." And I was like, "Are either of those a
Sure.
pullover offense? Because it feels like it's not." But then he
Yeah.
like let me go. But yeah, I feel like that's the same thing where it's like pulling someone over for a rolling stop. It's like I feel like you shouldn't be allowed to give a ticket, because that's like a nothing.
Also, why pull people over to then let them go? Like, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
You're just wasting everybody's time.
Yeah, like do they get scored on that? Like do they get like points? Do they get cop points?
Got points.
I got 10 cop points today.
At the end of their shift, they're just like, yeah, you see that? They just have like a board and it's like stickers. I got 10 stickers. You guys been in any car accidents?
I was in one when I might have been straight up 16 or 7. No, it would have been 17. It wasn't bad though. I just turned into it was my fault and I was in a left-hand turn lane and I was kind of stopped waiting for traffic to come by and it was kind of it was one of those things where it was like a turn so you couldn't see very far like the traffic oncoming you couldn't see very far. It was like only a little bit ahead and I like thought it was clear and then I started turning and it wasn't clear and somebody but it was like 25-mile-an-hour road, so it wasn't a big deal.
Not bad.
What about you?
I've been in two because of old people.
I'm assuming it's
And
their fault.
it both times is both of their yeah, both times is their fault. Their insurance paid for both. And well, the first time the lady had her children show up who she was she was she was one of those old people that I feel like should not have been driving. I was hit while I was stopped. I came
Oh.
to a stop, a full stop at this was when I was 16. This was back
You
when,
learned your
you know,
lesson.
I yeah, no. This is no,
Boy.
I long time ago when I was 16 and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna follow all the rules. And I came to a complete stop at a stop sign. I was taking a right. And this woman, I was waiting for this woman to so it's kind of like a T intersection. So I was here stopped and this woman was coming in, coming in, coming in, coming in. And she turned, turning onto the street that I was on, turn, keeps turning, turns into me.
What?
Oh, dude, I was freaking out because I was 16 and I was like, oh my God, this is my first car. And I was only been driving for, well, that was my first year driving, really. So I really wasn't that long. And I was like, oh God, my dad's going to kill me. So then I get out of the car. We're already kind of on the side because I wasn't moving. I was already on the right side of the road, anyways. So I put my car in park. Guess like, are you all right? Because like her car, even though it hit my door and shit like that, it kind of like bumped off of my car and she kept kind of going. So we were like kind of facing opposite directions. And it looked she was like out of it and she was old. And so I got out of the car, I was like, are you all right? And she's like, yeah, uh, what happened? And I was like, oh. So I
Oh
asked her, I was like,
Oh
"Can you
no.
no.
put your car in park?" And so she puts it in park, and then I was like, "I'm gonna call the police. We'll just get a cop out here." And so like I was like, "Don't, or if you can just stay where you are if you're not hurt." And she was like, "Yeah, I'm okay here." I was like, "Okay, you just stay there." So I call the cop. Cop shows up, and there's like a lady who gets out of her house across the street, and she's just like, "I saw the whole thing from my window. Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm okay." And so she like looks in the driver's seat of the other car, and she's like, "Oh," and she just she doesn't say anything. So she just stands with me, and she's like, "You are your parents gonna come?" And I was like, "Yeah, I called my dad too. He's on his way." And she's like, "Oh, okay, good," because she could tell that I was young and I didn't know what to do. So I was just like, at the very least, I call the cops on my dad. So my dad shows up, and he's just like, he takes one look at it, and he's like, so because he already knew based off of what how things looked. And so the cop showed up. I told the cop what happened. Her kids show up, and then her kids were like, they were like my dad's age. And so they were like coming over and were like, what's your insurance information? And so like we gave them our insurance information. They were like, "So what's your number in case like they have any more questions?" And we were like, but the way they were asking us was as if it was our fault, clearly their mom's fault. So I remember like I remember like shortly after that I got a call from their insurance company, like their mom's insurance company, like in the middle of school, like a school day. And I remember like I forgot if I can't remember what, like I can't remember if the teacher was cool with it, but I just remember like stepping out and being on the phone, and the insurance person was just like, "Okay, so we try to talk to the person recovering and her kids, but we don't really understand how it happened because what they're saying does not line up with the police report." And I was like,
Mhm.
"All right, let me break it down for you because they must have been lying, saying that it was my fault." So then I told them my story. I was like, "Okay, then ask what the police report said because if it was accurate, it would have matched my story perfectly." And also, I don't think they were going to be able to tell me anyways because they're basically just feeding me information that I'd be feeding them back if it
Yeah.
was really my fault. So I told them, and they're like, "Okay, that makes sense." And I was like, "Okay, sounds good. We're good. You're good. You guys gonna cover it?" They're like, "Yeah, unfortunately, we're gonna cover it because it was her fault." And I was like, "Good. Goodbye." So there was that. And then there was another time. It was like, God, it was like during COVID, I think. There were like two left turning lanes. I was in the rightmost left turning lane. There was this old guy in the leftmost left turning lane.
Mhm.
Don't know why he decided to merge into me because
Yep.
he decided to change his mind. He no longer wanted to turn left, but it was way too late. It was way too late. I was already there. And the thing is too, he like turned so aggressively too.
He just
I was already, yeah, both times, guys, both times I was just about not moving. Like my
stopped.
car was like if anything, both times, both accidents, my car was like almost at a complete stop. And these old people just keep fucking turning into me. I, I know drivers tests are really fucking annoying, but I would advocate for taking that shit more than once to ensure that
Mhm.
you are fit to drive because as much as I would hate to do it over and over again, I would do it to prove that I can still fucking drive. Because this old person just boom right into me. At the time Tony was in the car with me, Tony was like, he was not having it. He hopped out the car, he took his phone out, he took a immediate picture of the driver of their license. Yeah, their license plate. He like hopped out, snapped a photo, and he got right back in. He was like, "So we're gonna he I pulled my window down and then we kind of looked at them and they looked at us and they were like, "Are you guys okay?" And we yeah. And so Tony was just like quiet. He's just like, "I had to get the photo of your fucking plate.
Still.
I got your plates." So like we pulled out and there was like a McDonald's parking lot and we waited for the cop. The cop talked to us and I don't know, maybe it was because they saw Tony just fucking get that shit real quick because we heard right when the cop went to go talk to him, the driver was just like, "I'm sorry, it was we'll just, our insurance will pay for her damage and stuff like that." Because I was like, "Yeah, no, there ain't nothing." clear as day. And like it was one of the like the bigger intersections too, so there were like cameras and shit. I was like, no, 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 there's no way anyone can say it was my fault. But yeah, nope, 2 times, 2 old people both turned into me. So fingers crossed it hasn't happened in a long time, so like 5 years. So we'll see. I don't know. It seems like just fucking old people need to be retested, but nah,
Mhm.
I would retake that shit. Just but you'll see some fucking old people, like Tony will tell me all the time. You'll see like these old people like hobbling around the store. Just they can't even walk. They cannot walk. And they're by themselves, and then he'll see them enter their vehicle on the driver's side, and he'll be like, "Oh no.
Mhm.
Oh no." Yeah.
I
That's
It's pretty
crazy.
regular for us if we're driving on a highway and like get stuck behind someone who's going like 10 under or they're driving really erratically. Like it's just become an ongoing thing. It's like as we're passing, whoever's in the passenger side is like, is it an old person? Almost, I would say 90% of the time. And the other 10% is like the person's just like clearly texting on their phone or something. But
Mm.
most of the time, it's just some old person who doesn't know how to drive, which is sad, but also you're a danger. Like, it's not
For
good.
real.
It's so bad. There's been this big like construction project really close to us, and I have to drive through it every day when I go to school. And what they're doing is they're like changing all the ramps to the highway near us. And so what used to be just like you'd come to a stoplight, you take a right, and then you like follow a road down a little ways before you finally actually like hit the ramp to get on the highway. What they're doing is I think they're going to take out part of that road, and then everything's going to be like one big traffic circle or maybe
Hmm.
two traffic circles. It's a little unclear so far, but one of them is in. So right now what it is you go through like this long line of construction and then you hit the traffic circle, and I think it's very clear if you if you're coming at it, there's two lanes. There's the right lane where there's loads of signage and it's very clearly putting you on the highway,
Hmm.
and then there's straight across, which is clearly like residential, just a neighborhood. There's nothing over there. So like even if you couldn't read and didn't know what you were looking for, like it's very visually apparent which way the turns go. And without fail, almost every single morning when I go to it, like people, they get in the right lane and then they start to take a right and they put in like medians so that once you start taking a right, you can't really like go back. And people will go right and then like have to like make a U-turn to get back into the circle.
Oh no.
But when they do that, they skip, like they don't yield, they just keep going. Uh,
Oh.
or this morning, someone merged over to the right, got to the circle, and then as they got closer to the circle, moved over so they were halfway in both lanes to still just take a right. Like they just got in everyone's way for no reason. Just like every morning, it's so bad. And it's almost always old people.
Retest it. Telling you.
I've also started, especially with all the snow we got this winter, people are terrible at parking in the
Mm.
snow.
Hmm.
Like, forget distances between cars. And I have to park in like a designated parking lot for school. And there's really not all that much space. And it's already kind of cramped because there's another construction project that's going on, and all the construction workers park in our lot. They've all got big ass trucks. More often than not, they take up 2 spaces, if not sometimes 3 or 4 if they decide to go forward as well. So, like, you're constantly fighting for spaces. And during the winter, it got to the point where I was just like, I'm going to wedge my car into this tiny little space. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to back in so I can get
Hmm.
out of my car. And then I just started taking pictures of all the cars around me because it's like, I'm in a spot, technically.
Hmm.
You're over all of your lines. So even though I was here last, you'll be in the wrong if you hit me. So I've got like all these pictures on my phone of random cars in the parking lot, just in case I come back one day and like my mirror is gone. No patience. I'm so sick of it.
That reminds me of the one time that I parked. It was at the metro station parking lot, and I think it was cherry blossom season, so it was packed. But I found one spot, but it was so tight. I think that's why no one parked there because it was way too tight. But I managed to park in, but I like it was so tight that I had Tino get out of the car first because like he wasn't gonna be able to open the door. And then he was outside watching me park, and I was giving him an aneurysm because I was so close to it, and he was just like freaking out, and I was like, "Oh, I think I got this." And after I parked, I literally went out the trunk because there was no opening the doors.
Oh my
It was like I
God.
crawled out the back, but we got the spot.
There you go.
It hasn't been bad enough for the trunk yet, but I've definitely, especially with like all the salt on the ground, I've gotten out of my car a couple of times, and I'm definitely like going sideways through my door, and I have to drag my backpack behind me, and sometimes that gets stuck, so then I have to roll my window down and pull it out the window. And then the cars are covered with salt, so I get out, but then I'm like wedged between the two cars, and I have to shimmy sideways, and then I'm just like
Oh, and then you're
covered
covered
in
in
salt.
Oh no.
But hey, I get a good parking spot every time I do it, so I'm not gonna complain.
It's a pro move.
Yeah, you just get stuck in your car.
Hey, there's a lot of exits to a car. Who's to say which is the
There are.
right one?
Yeah. I've also gotten really passive aggressive about it too. I've started anytime someone's parking pisses me off enough, I only do this because I know it would piss me off. Maybe other people don't care. I've started turning in passenger side mirrors
Oh.
because my thought
Oh.
is that I would not notice that until I got in my car and started moving and had to look in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a hazard though. Because like I'm not stopping my
Parking
car.
lot. Well, like sometimes I literally have to do it to get out from
That's
between
true.
the cars. So it's like,
That's true.
damn, sorry guys. But I definitely don't undo it either. I think we've admitted too many crimes in this episode.
It's fine.
If you're
The
a
bad
cop, you legally have to not report us.
yeah. Maybe I know you. Maybe I know you. You don't have to give us tickets for anything. The bad parking makes me think of that I think they're called the bumper sticker bandit. I think on
Oh
like
yeah, I think I know what
TikTok
you're
and
talking about.
Instagram. Yeah, they have a whole bunch of bumper stickers that are kind of funny, and they put it on people's bumpers that park kind of doofy.
Apparently has a website. I don't know if these
Order
stickers
bumper
look
stickers?
correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
I park like I love to eat ass.
That's good.
That actually makes me really curious. I feel like you'd get your like the shit beaten out of you if it was actually a sticker or if it's just a magnet.
Yeah, because if it's hard, because some of those are hard to get off, the bumper stickers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They say stickers.
And it's probably illegal to stick that to someone's car, right? If you got caught.
I don't know.
I just feel like anyone who'd park like that would beat you up.
Yeah, so there
But also
must
I'm
be.
not gonna snitch, so
I've never seen them get. I mean, I haven't seen too many of them, but the ones that I've seen, no one's ever showed up. So I'm sure that
Mm.
they had to. If it's actually real, I'm sure there has to have been a time where someone's caught them sticking that on their car.
I mean I guess they also do film it and post it online, so maybe it isn't illegal.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, how can it not be? Like, it seems like you shouldn't be allowed to do that to other people's stuff. Not that it would be worth a police officer's time to prosecute somebody or whatever, but
It's not necessarily a crime, but you could get a ticket.
huh.
But to be fair, if the cop's going to show up to give you a ticket for putting a bumper sticker on someone else's car, they're also going to show up and give a ticket to the guy who's parking like an asshole.
True, true.
So it's kind of a win-win.
Or you'd hope at least, right? Do you imagine
Yeah.
it? They just show up just to give you
Oh,
the ticket for putting that shit on their car, and they leave. They leave
dude,
without putting another
I'm
ticket
putting a
underneath
bumper
the
sticker on
person's.
the cop car. Yeah,
Now that's gonna be illegal, just because it's a cop.
I just follow them to their cop car, stick it on there, run back to my car, drive as fast as I can away from there.
the stupidest reason to get into a cop chase.
You guys see me on the news? I'm just like hopping lanes and shit like that. They're like, this chase has been going on for 45 minutes. They get a helicopter, mic close enough, and I'm just in the driver's seat just screaming. I was
The
the
cop,
only one who deserved a ticket. They deserved one.
The helicopter's like zooms in, and on the cop car behind you, you can see the bumper sticker.
They're like, this is where it started.
They make a documentary while I'm still just in holding because they're running out of documentary options. Did you see there's like at least one on Luigi Mangione
Really?
and
Has it come out?
yeah, I don't know, but there's like one already I've seen. It was like I forget. Let me look up the title.
There's not even any real evidence. The man hasn't been
Yep,
convicted of a crime. He's
yep.
innocent, technically.
I loved all of the like I loved all the posts after he was arrested that was like, look at my man Luigi. He was here
Yeah.
on this date at this time.
And they've clearly just got someone like wearing a ski mask in like a deli.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just looked up Luigi Mangione documentary. I see two that's popped up. One on Max
Wow.
that's called "Who is Luigi Mangione," and another one, well, it's like a 2020 special edition Manhunt: Luigi Mangione and the CEO Murder.
I feel like with the streaming services, I've seen a lot of those like way too quick to like be a quality documentary coming out after something like notable happens. It's like, what is this? There's no way you can make something good that quick.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just what everyone. It's also like so saturated that I feel like it's all the same stuff that you're seeing online, anyways. Like, what new thing am I going to learn from this random slapped together documentary that someone's just putting together to make some money? Also, seems like they'd have to be really careful about it because if he doesn't get convicted, like if he comes out innocent, can he sue for defamation?
He could, I feel like.
That
Probably.
seems pretty risky on their part. I guess they're massive corporations, so they probably don't care, but have you seen all the notices he's had to put out that are like, please stop sending me your nudes?
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I heard
That's
he's been
gross.
getting like he gets like hundreds of letters a day.
Mhm.
Wow. Do you think he reads them all? I guess if you're in jail, there's not much to do, huh?
Yeah.
He's got time, I guess.
So does he
Yeah.
have to stay in jail until court happens, right?
I think
Wow.
so.
I think so, yeah.
Should we
All
pick another
right.
movie?
Oh yeah, we should pick another movie.
Is Mickey 17 coming out? Because I vote for that.
Oh yeah, it is. Oh
What was the
yeah,
other one that
yeah.
comes out? Isn't there another one that comes out?
Um
I have Opus on my calendar, but that's for the 14th.
Oh, okay. That was the other one I was
Um,
thinking, so not that
Melody, you went to go see Companion, right?
mhm.
Okay, that's already out.
Yeah, I
one. Yeah,
saw
we can.
Yeah.
Companion and also this past weekend. I don't know if you guys wanted to add that to too, but Train to Busan also a really surprisingly good in a like a really long time. Like probably one of the only zombie movies I've seen in a long time that I was like, "Oh, this is really good."
Yeah,
It's a
I've
Korean movie.
I've seen that one.
Oh, okay.
Hmm,
I like
okay.
that one.
I have not, but I'll add it to my list. I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, it was on my list for like the longest time, and then Tony and I had like we were able to like sit down and binge watch a few things that have been on our list for a long time this past weekend, and that we just decided on that, and then we were like pleasantly surprised because it turned out to be. I mean, we've heard that it was really good, but I was like, wow, it was even better than I thought.
Yeah, I don't know. You guys got anything else on your list? I think the only other one I had was that one that I shared in the chat after we recorded last time. Black Coat's Daughter. I don't even remember what it was about.
Oh, is this directed by the same person? Osgood Perkins. Like, why does
Yeah,
that
same
name
person who did. I
familiar?
think it's the person who did Long Legs too. But I think I found it because someone said that it was his better work.
Mm.
Okay,
Yeah, I'd be down to watch.
sounds good to me. The Blackcoat's Daughter, directed by Osgood Perkins. All right. Well, until next time, bye bye.